Hello, everyone. How is it going? Here is Manuel, and welcome to a new podcast. So, what is this about? This is a video slash podcast which is just meant to be heard, not really to watch. So, just put your phone somewhere and start doing your own thing. I will just be talking about some random topic and hopefully it sparks a new perspective or some new ideas to think about. I don't think I'm right in what I'm saying, but I think I'm giving it a try. I'm trying to make sense about this word, and there is value just trying to do that. So every time I come up with some sort of new argument to talk about, and today is gonna be about Dan Bilzerian. Who is this guy? So you probably have already heard about him, and he used to be. I'm pretty sure that the name will sort of trigger something, but for some reason you might not be able to sort of picture him right now. So I'm gonna give you some sort of hint of why you have this weird feeling in you. So Dan Bilzerian was the self-proclaimed king of Instagram back in 2017-18, I think. And he was the crazy guy who was posting crazy pictures with a lot of women and a lot of crazy stunts that he would do, and he was basically claiming that he was living the life that everyone wanted to live. So, well, at that point he was claiming that he was the king of Instagram, and Instagram is still around, but where is the king? Why have you heard about him? Have you seen from anywhere new picture coming out of him? And probably not. Why? Because the king of Instagram looks like that he lost the throne. If he had it, if he has ever had it in the first place. So in today's podcast, I want to try to go through what happened, in my opinion. I did a little bit of research, and I think I can talk about his life or what happened with two different views. The first one is the view that it's sort of public, the one that he claims that it is his truth. And the second one is actually a more another perspective of things, which he's never gonna talk about, but it came out thanks to other people sort of doing the research. So actually this was something that I wanted to talk about in a video per se, but it's fine to go through it in the podcast. So he was, as I said, he was the king of Instagram. And how did he get there? I think if we look at how, or the story that he's always telling, we can sort of divide his life up to now in three phases. So the first phase is where he basically started. He claims, and this is through a podcast that you can find on YouTube with Joe Rogan, he claims that he was he went to the military, and basically he overworked so much himself that then he couldn't be in the military anymore. He basically broke his legs, and because he was exercising so much, and ultimately he couldn't go anymore. So then after the military he went to college, and while he was doing college and was studying, he started to play poker. And by playing poker he made all the money that he then decided to use to, you know, to work as to use for his adventure as an entrepreneur. So at this point we can see the second phase that he claims that he has. This is all this story. So basically in this second phase of his life, he decided to use the money that he got from poker and opens an Instagram account and uses it to brandize himself with his company called Ignite. And Ignite is basically a company that it's actually publicly traded. Is a company that let me check. Oops. It is. Yep. And basically uses the Instagram account, which is basically its own, to publicize stuff of Ignite. And Ignite is a company that basically sells marijuana and products, that sort of related products in the US. Now, if you look at the trend of any sort of marijuana company, you'll see that the market has been growing steadily, even during COVID. Now, this is gonna be important because you'll see when it comes out. So now, this was probably before COVID, 2019 and beginning of 2020. But then, as I said, or as you perceive, there is something wrong in this story. Because if he's become so famous, and so important, as he's so successful, you should have heard about him at some point this year. And you haven't. So this is what it's the third phase of his life. The what happened to him phase. It's not, if you look at his Instagram, you can check it, it's public. You don't see that he's publishing that often anymore, and the only things that he's publishing is basically him trying to write a book, or at least that what was it when I last checked. And also in this phase, in this 2020-2021, if you check him for videos on YouTube, you find some weird rumors coming out, in particular with problems on his company, financial problems, which in fact it looks like that it's not. The company has tremendous problems in basically continuing, is losing money. And this is weird because considering that Ignite is working in a market as marijuana and opium based, in a market that it's growing, how is it possible that this company is losing money? Right? In particular, coming from a person that looks like to have been so successful in poker. You know, he was always successful. How is it possible that now he's not more successful? What happened? You might attribute this problem to COVID, but the truth is it's not, because the market has always been growing. People have demanded way more marijuana products, opium products than before. So what happened? So from here, I think we can start, instead of following the story that he's always telling, let's sort of backtrack again. What if the story and the perspective is different? And let's try to cover and go through a different perspective of what was really his life in all these three phases. And you know, because if we go with his own this Dan Bilzerian story of how was his life, then the third phase, the last phase, where he basically unsuccessful, things are not working out, does not make sense. How? A person that has always been successful suddenly is not? What if the story is different? And this is this actually this proposal, or this probably true story behind him, can be found with alternative videos on him, about him, on YouTube, which they try to backtrack it and try to put everything together. So in this in this alternative reality, we can call it like this, the not Bilzerian story of his life, we have always 3 phases. And the first phase is he actually never went to the military and he has no clue how to do. He basically, and if you check, I think that you can find him as a policeman, and the only reason is because in some states in the United States it's possible to buy almost for free the cop license and also the gun license. It's basically very easy, and he just did that and just to prove a point that he can he has been sort of proving that he has been in the military, but he's never been. And then college wise, never went to college either, or maybe if he went, he just left very soon. And in this alternative story, there is no poker involved, because if we check the amount of money that he supposedly got from poker, which a lot, millions if I'm not wrong, well, the truth is that that amount of money never really circulates in those spheres ever. So it's very difficult to understand how he possibly got that sort of money if you look to poker tournaments. Then one of his arguments is that yeah, but he got it from very rich people that he won against, and that's not probably tracked. Truth is, he's sort of hiding his tracks right in there. So in these alternative stories, what really happened is that when he reached 30 years old of age, he basically got a ton sheet of money from his daddy, because the dad had some financial troubles, not financial troubles, he basically committed financial fraud, and he had to leave the company. The company failed, but he also had to leave the country. But before leaving, he left a substantial amount of money to his son. Since it was not his own, but it was of his son, the investigators couldn't really get that money. So it was basically safe. And when he reached these 30 years old, the money was finally free, and Dan Bilzerian could finally use the money that he received from his daddy. I really love to say daddy, in particular for him, this big boy that in the end got the money that he started with his daddy. And then finally we go to the second phase of this alternative reality, which makes more sense. So he got this money and he basically didn't know what to do about it, since he never had that amount of money. So he started to say, you know what, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want to do. And he basically created an Instagram and a company, created an Instagram account and created a new company. And he said, you know what, I have money, I can use it in this, and I'm even gonna make more money because I'm gonna make a company that just sells marijuana. How can anyone lose money in there? Everyone would be right. Unfortunately, Ignite also received, he used the money to create the company and use it, and then he received money from investors. Apparently, he used the money coming from the investors for all the parties and the nice pictures that Danny posted on Instagram, and then this would let him become the new king of Instagram. Now this story makes a fucking ton of sense, because you have a person that has no clue what he's doing. He had so much money that he haven't got in his life suddenly, and he's basically using it to proclaim himself as a successful person, and he does it in the most visible platform ever, Instagram. It sort of checks out. The problem is that this person is not competent at all, because he just got the money. He didn't really learn how to invest and to make more money. So apparently he just trashed all of them in parties, and not only his own money but also the money coming from the investors of Ignite. So in fact, a lot of CEOs left Ignite because they were claiming that basically Dan Bilzerian was using Ignite as a piggy bank. So he will basically take the money out of the company and will use it to make his own parties, claiming that it was just to, make this Ignite brand stronger. The problem is that Ignite didn't have the money to properly working, and therefore making money in a growing market. So he used it for himself. And now we are the third phase, which is basically the same. The third phase, which corresponds to what you see right now, and also the videos on YouTube, is that he's not posting anymore on Instagram. And it's because he doesn't have that ton of shit of money that investors were willing to give it to him before, because investors are realizing that it's not going anywhere, this company, and there are no more money in the company, and therefore it looks like that it's failing. Now apparently this company should have failed already, but is still surviving. And how? Well, because Dan's daddy apparently is giving his money to him, and what Dan Bilzerian is doing with the money that his daddy gave it to him is basically buying the debt that other people have on the company, on Ignite, and is basically owning the debt of the company. And then he sort of can cancel it off, or something like that. But the problem is that in the end, this is money that he cannot use for his own parties. So the failure is actually imminent, because these companies cannot grow properly. And in my opinion, this story makes way more sense, and it checks way more than his own advertised life, the one that he claims that it has been. In my opinion, and I'm going to the conclusion of this this podcast, is that Dan Bilzerian was just a random guy, a random dude that without any particular skills just got a ton shit of money, and instead of claiming that he got it from his daddy, he preferred to say, you know what, I actually made this money. And he had to come up with some weird way that he made the money. The problem is that when you start to tell a lie, you have to continue, because otherwise, people will lose faith in you. You have to continue with the lie. And something that he might have just told to few friends have become his life story. And then the more he would become bigger as a persona and on Instagram, the more he had to stick with this plan. And then he said, he pumped his ego so much that it was like, well, if I want to keep partying and keep being important, I need something greater. And this daddy probably told him, you know what, make a company and make it in a market that it's so easy to make money out of. Like marijuana, how can you lose money out of it? It was like, yeah, thanks daddy for the idea, and he did it. Problem is, he took so much money out of the Ignite company to make the parties and then promote himself, not the brand, that in the end the company failed. And oh, daddy, thanks for the idea, but I didn't do it properly. So in my opinion, it's you can see that life sometimes it's different. You have the view that everyone is throwing at you, and this is the view that they wanted you to perceive. But then there is another reality, which is reality itself, what really the truth, what really happened. And the truth is that we learn way more for ourselves, for our life, from the truth than from the view that people throw at us. That's why it's very important to understand it and go to the back of what really happened and things. Because if we just accept whatever things people are throwing at us, people lie. Or maybe they don't know, but they don't really say 100% what happened and the truth. It's our responsibility for ourselves or for our life to get and get it right, be successful, is to understand what other people have actually done to be successful. If you see a person successful, you obviously want to understand the real truth behind it. In the case of Danzig Bilzerian, the secret of his success was that someone, his dad, gave him money. End of the story. But now, that was a fake success because it was not due to his own skills. It was something that was deemed to happen when he reached 30, and then he lost all the money. So is it a successful story? It is not. We should learn from it now. We should totally do the opposite of him. And instead, if we ever receive a big amount of money, for some reason, we should try to invest in ourselves, in our head, instead of just showing it off and lose it all. So this was the argument, the thing that I wanted to talk about in this podcast. I hope that you liked it, and if you did, please smash a like and subscribe. I know it's a pretty long video, but it's actually, I think it's also a very interesting topic to talk about people and how they oh my god, a sad song right now. Don't like this. Hope you like it, and see you next time. Thanks for listening to this, and bye.